please say a few words to us. Over to you, sir. General P.K. Singh, Director USI, senior veterans from the Defence Forces and the Civil Services, members and faculty of the USI, invited guests and friends from the media. It is indeed an honor to be here today to release the second volume of second edition of the Strategic Yearbook. India's strategic culture dates back to the days of the Arthashastra. And we've always been talking of Chanakya Niti, which we rarely practice. And I've always looked at Sun Tzu's and Jomini's and Clausewitz and Little Heart and what have you. And therefore there was a thought that in India we lack a strategic culture. Just because we have started looking at some of these foreign authors for whatever they were worth, forgetting what we had within ourselves. And therefore I think it is very interesting to see USI coming out with the Strategic Yearbook, identifying subjects that we need to address to develop a strategic thought process within the nation and particularly the military. Before we actually go into any strategic thought and how a strategic thought process for the Indian nation or the military should evolve, I feel it is important to identify some of the strategic deficiencies that we have in our country. And I think the first strategic deficit is the historical deficit that has emerged after independence with the creation of India and Pakistan. India had a reach to the Middle East, to the Car nations, but with the creation of Pakistan, there has been a break in that outreach. And to recreate that outreach, we have to now start looking at newer alliances, whether it evolves through Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan. This not only helps us in creating a true front dilemma for our western neighbor, but also an encirclement of our northern neighbor from the west. And then of course we have now started once again looking toward the east with the Look East, and finally I think described as the Act East policy is the encirclement of the northern neighbor from the east. While we talk of our own encirclement, we have to start looking at how do we carry out counter encirclement of some of our future adversaries. So therefore developing alliances, developing friends to overcome this deficit is important. And that must become a part of our strategic thought process. The next, of course, is the economic and security deficit. I have combined the two because both these are two tenets of national power. There is a general thinking amongst the people in India that expenditure on defense is a burden on our economy. But I think we need to appreciate that defense and economy go hand in hand. It is only a strong military which will help you in ensuring stability along your borders and within the nation and the hinterland. And that will help you develop your economy. Today when we are looking at foreign direct investment coming in from other nations, looking at technology through indigenization, we have to ensure the safety and security of our people and those who are going to invest within our country. Therefore, I think it is important that for the economy to develop, the military is made strong. So this is a deficit which remains while we are developing our economy. The military somehow is not getting its due share which it deserves. I think here we need to draw a lesson from China's 4 modernizations which commenced in 1978. While they were looking at developing the economy, development of the military was part of those 4 modernizations. And therefore the two tenets of national power must conjointly go hand in hand. The other deficit that we have, another part of the security deficit which I wish to highlight, is creating alliances, creating friends, so that we find a rightful place in the United Nations, in the Security Council. Time has come for India to have a say in all that happens in the United Nations. Therefore, that is one security deficit which we need to overcome. And yet another deficit, of course, is the energy deficit that we are facing. We are not self-sufficient in energy resources. Are we going to continue our dependence on fossil fuel, or do we need to look at alternate sources of energy? The Western nations are already looking at it. I think we have abundance of solar and wind power which can be generated for developing our own energy resources. So if we overcome these three, if we identify these 3 deficits correctly, I think we will then be able to move forward towards a strategic thought process which should lead to our identifying and giving a strategic direction to the nation and to the military. This I thought was important. Well, I was very happy to see the headings or the subtopics in which the strategic yearbook has been outlined. I would say a very large number of the topics have been covered. After we go through these, we will be able to analyze and realize some of the shortcomings that we have, that we need to overcome. Looking at this, as far as the military is concerned, we should be able to identify our own national military strategy. While we do not have a national military strategy as of now, but the Directorate General of Prospective Planning has been tasked to come out with one. We are also coming out with a national security strategy which will be given to the government, and based on that we will be evolving a national military strategy. Both the draft documents are ready, and hopefully we will also be releasing these very soon. So we are very happy that the strategic culture in the country is finding its way on the feet, or I would say not finding its way, it always existed, but that we've identified that we do have a strategic culture and a strategic thought process, and the strategic yearbook is I think a step in the right direction. I wish to compliment the USI in particularly General Sharma, for having come out with this yearbook. Also to all the contributors who have carried out vast research in helping USI compile this yearbook. With that, I am grateful to General P.K. Singh for having invited me to this forum, and thank you all for being here. Thank you and Jai Hind.
I now request General P.K. Sharma to propose the vote of thanks.